mantras of our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, Lord, this morning Thou hast given me the assurance that Thou would stay with us until Thy work is achieved, not only as a consciousness which guides and illumines, but also as a dynamic presence in action. In unmistakable terms, Thou hast promised that all of Thyself would remain here and not leave the earth atmosphere until earth is transformed. Grant that we may be worthy of this marvelous presence, and that henceforth everything in us be concentrated on the one will to be more and more perfectly consecrated to the fulfillment of Thy sublime word. With love and blessings, says our Divine Mother. Message by our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says, Sri Aurobindo has come to tell us it is not necessary to leave the earth to find the truth. It is not necessary to leave life to find one's soul. It is not necessary to give up the world or to have limited beliefs in order to enter into relation with the Divine. The Divine is everywhere, in everything. And if He is hidden, it is because we do not take the trouble to discover Him. Our Divine Mother says we can simply, by a sincere aspiration, open a sealed door in us and find that something which will change the whole significance of life, reply to all our questions, solve all our problems, and lead us to the perfection we aspire for without knowing it, to that reality which alone can satisfy us and give us lasting joy, equilibrium, strength, life. Our Divine Mother says the starting point to want it, truly want it, to need it. The next step to think above all of that. And then one formulates one's aspiration, lets the true prayer spring up from one's heart, the prayer which expresses the sincerity of the need. And then, well, one will see what happens. Something will happen. Something will happen. Surely something will happen. For each one, it will take a different form. From the Collective Works, Volume 9, page 374. The Mother, book written by our Lord Sri Aurobindo, Chapter 2, page 7. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, in all that is done in the universe, the Divine, through His Shakti, is behind all action. But He is veiled by His Yoga Maya and works through the ego of the Jiva in the lower nature. In yoga also, it is the Divine who is the sadhaka and the sadhana. It is His Shakti with her light, power, knowledge, consciousness, ananda, acting upon the adhara, and when it is open to her, pouring into it with these divine forces that makes the sadhana possible. But so long as the lower nature is active, The personal effort of the sadhaka remains necessary. The personal effort required is a triple labor of aspiration, rejection, surrender. An aspiration vigilant, constant, unceasing, the mind's will, the heart's seeking, the ascent of the vital being, the will to open and make plastic the physical consciousness and nature. Rejection of the moments of the lower nature, rejection of the mind's ideas, opinions, preferences, habits, constructions, so that the true knowledge may find free room in a silent mind. Rejection of the vital nature's desires, demands, cravings, sensations, passions, selfishness, pride, arrogance, lust, greed, jealousy, envy, hostility to the truth, so that the true power and joy may pour from above into a calm, large, strong, and consecrated vital being. Rejection of the physical nature's stupidity, doubt, disbelief, obscurity, obstinacy, pettiness, laziness, unwillingness to change, tamas, so that the true stability of light, power, ananda may establish itself in a body growing always more divine, surrender of oneself and all one is and has, and every plane of consciousness, every moment to the divine and the Shakti. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, in proportion as the surrender and self-consecration progress, the sadhaka becomes conscious of the divine Shakti, doing the sadhana, pouring into him more and more of herself, founding in him the freedom and perfection of the divine nature. The more this conscious process replaces his own effort, the more rapid and true becomes his progress. But it cannot completely replace the necessity of personal effort until the surrender and consecration are pure and complete from top to bottom. Note that a tamasic surrender, refusing to fulfill the conditions and calling on God to do everything and save one all the trouble and struggle, is a deception and does not lead to freedom and perfection.
Already God is near, the truth is close, and only freedom cannot satisfy a heart that has known one with every heart. I am addicted of the aspiring world, my spirit's liberty I lost the whole.
The hour of God. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, there are moments when The Spirit moves among men, and the breath of the Lord is abroad upon the waters of our being. There are others when it retires, and men are left to act in the strength or weakness of their own egoism. The first are periods when even a little effort produces great results and changes destiny. The second are spaces of time when much labor goes to the making of a little result. It is true that the latter may prepare the former. Maybe the little smoke of sacrifice going up to heaven, which calls down the rain of God's bounty. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, unhappy is the man or the nation which, when the divine moment arrives, is found sleeping or unprepared to use it, because the lamp has not been kept trimmed for the welcome, and the ears are sealed to the call. But thrice woe to them who are strong and ready, yet waste the force or misuse the moment. For them is irreparable loss or a great destruction. In the hour of God, says our Lord, in the hour of God, cleanse thy soul of all self-deceit, hypocrisy and vain, self-altering, that thou mayest look straight into thy spirit and hear that which summons it. All insincerity of nature, once thy defense against the eye of the Master and the light of the ideal, becomes now a gap in thy armor and invites the blow. Even if thou conquer for the moment, it is the worse for thee, for the blow shall come afterwards and cast thee down in the midst of thy triumph. But being pure, cast aside all fear, for the hour is often terrible. A fire and a whirlwind, and a tempest, a treading of the winepress of the wrath of God. But he who can stand up in it on the truth of his purpose is he who shall stand, even though he fall. He shall rise again, even though he seem to pass on the wings of the wind. He shall return. Nor let worldly prudence whisper too closely in thy ear, for it is the hour of the unexpected.
Lose not thy strength, like the wild Titan soul. Touch not the seated lines, the ancient law. Respect the calm of the age-established sleep. But Savitri replied to the huge God, what is the calm thou foundst, O Lord, O yes, I trample on thy law with living feet, for till I seek freedom, I was born.
These are the words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo and our Divine